Just a quick plug for the LGA. Local Government Association is the organisation that represents all of the good councils in England. There are 4 or 5 who are not members, but we represent all of the good ones. So just to be no doubt about that, if they're in membership of the LGA, they are a very good council. Clearly the work that we do with LEPs is very important. The LGA's position on LEPs is we weren't really sure whether they were a good idea when they were introduced, and we've come to love them. So it's a really strange world we're living in, because if you'd asked me 3 years ago what I'd have been saying, it wouldn't have been we've come to love them. We've got some big issues with some LEPs, as you will say, you will have big issues with councils. Some LEPs are absolutely brilliant. My own LEP, Ursula's sitting there, you had the pleasure of her leading the first session, absolutely brilliant. Been a stalwart partner in our Devo deal, we probably wouldn't have been able to pull that off without full engagement from the LEP. So some are brilliant. But I do know from my colleagues, some are not quite so brilliant. So I think there's a piece of work that us and the LEP organisation still need to do to bring everybody further together. And I'm sure you'll probably hear from some business people in the room, or not probably in this room because they are here, so they do know what the LEP's doing, but some other business people in the community, that LEPs may not quite be in the right place with them at this point in time. So I think there's a piece of work that local government and LEPs need to do together to still engage further, particularly with the smaller business community. I'm not going to do this speech. It's too many words. A well-crafted speech by good people in the LGA, but I'm just going to stick to a couple of points. First of all, the devolution announcements. The Manchester stuff's been brilliant. That was the LGA's moving out of its comfort zone to help Manchester get through. Normally we do everything together, so we have to wait for the fattest, laziest people to catch up before anybody could run. On Devo deals, it was the first time where we've actually said the fastest run fast, and the rest of us better do some training to be able to catch up. So a couple of us have been on that training journey, and I'm pleased to announce that last week, apparently I'm not as fat as I thought I was. I have caught up, so that's a good news story. But we have got more work to do around that. We need to find a way of making sure that LEPs and the combined authorities can work closer together. We're all going to be in the same space. The devolved local government stuff at the moment is largely around economic development, which is full-blown LEP territory. But we're pushing for the skills agenda to come down, which is kind of LEP territory, but not really LEP territory at the moment, but it needs to be. You'll notice from the state of my air that I see no need to have any more hairdressers in this country, but I am a builder by trade and we do need lots more bricklayers. So there needs to be something done about the skills audit that we've got to make sure that skills are being delivered to our young people for the jobs that people need them to do, not just the easiest and cheapest courses for people to run. So I think LEPs and local government will be able to make common calls around that. Business rate retention, the latest big good news story, although that changed a little bit last week in the budget, is brilliant. Eric started it when he was a Secretary of State. We did get 50% uplift in the growth that we created, and that started to connect local authorities closer to their businesses. If I had been asked before the last election where would be by the end of this Parliament, I would have said probably about 80% retention. The announcement in October that it was going to be 100% was completely out of the blue. I don't think anybody inside the system had been predicting we would get that far. So councils now definitely have a very, very direct link with their businesses. In the old days, we used to collect business rates off of everybody. They used to moan about it. Then we used to give it to the Treasury, and they'd give us some of it back if they could be bothered. Generally not all of it. At the moment, it's about half of it we get back. So moving to a full 100% retention will be a good possible opportunity for local government and the business community to work closer together around a common agenda. But there will still be some tensions around the country, because we know places like Westminster can generate as much business rates as they're ever going to need to through very, very little effort locally. But there are parts of the country, I'm not going to name them because that would be a bad news story for them, that no matter how hard the business community and local government work together, they're ever going to be able to generate that shortfall in money that they need to deliver the services. So there's still going to have to be some real relocation of the money inside the system, but we're working with the government at the moment to try and do that on a voluntary basis. We also got the announcement last week that instead of going 2020 with that the government are going to let the combined authorities areas go early with that. So Ursula, you've got some work to do to work out how we're going to get that redistribution sorted out. So there's going to be a need for us to pull that together. In terms of really upsetting you, which was my intention today, I've had a look around the room and there are quite a few nice people in here. I'm not going to do it, but I would have majored a bit more on the work that we need to do together to make sure that the best of our members and the best of your members are the normal run-of-the-mill members and how we get everybody up to the right speed. I'm hoping as you speak later today with each other, you'll work that out for yourselves. You'll work out where, in your case, if you're from the LEPs, that councils in your area are working well or not working so well with the LEP, if you can come up with ideas and then feed them back into me at the Local Government Association. This is the first time really for the next 4 years where it's really important that we work together to maximise the growth that we can deliver in this country, because everybody recognises, or allegedly everybody recognises, that we are underperforming in terms of the outputs that we're creating. Loads of jobs, but the productivity is not there, so we need to find a way to increase productivity. And local government, best will in the world, ain't going to be the place that does that. It's going to be the business community telling local government what we need to do to enable that. I'm sure people are going to mention things like we need more infrastructure, so that'll be more roads, broadband and all of that sort of stuff, which is important in itself. But if the only thing you do as a bunch of LEPs is tell people how to spend money on roads, infrastructure, what's the point? There are plenty of people in central government who can determine how we're going to start spending money on roads and things. It's the rest of the value-added stuff that we need to start concentrating on. What can LEPs and business community working with local government actually do to drive up productivity in a given area? And that will be different in different places, and that's why the localism agenda is so important. What works in London won't work in Lincolnshire, and we need to come up with locally tailored solutions. And that can only come from everybody with a vested interest in an outcome speaking together to make it happen. So if I don't do anything else other than leave you with one thing, it's working out how do we all work better together to get the outcomes that we all need. The more prosperous, putting it bluntly, the more prosperous my community is, the more chance are the people in there will elect me next time, and that's what I like to do. So whatever we can do together to make that be the outcome is what we should be driving for. And for my voice is going a bit creaky, I do apologise. We didn't finish until 1:10 this morning across the madhouse on doing the immigration bill, and apparently we've got another late night tonight on the housing bill, which is what I was really looking forward to last night, but it got called off. So apologies if I'm too creaky. Apologies if I've upset a couple of people who are not as good as they thought they were, and apologies if I haven't upset enough people, because apparently you need stimulating to be able to ask questions. So happy days. Thank you.